All right, we are live. I see. Hi, Pharrell. How's it going? I'm doing great today. How about you? All right. So I just got the Hangout rolling. I'm going to give it a few moments just to give people some time to join. Sometimes there's a delay between when I start the broadcast and when people are able to actually join. So I'm just going to go ahead and uh, leave everything running. I'm going to alt tab away. If you can't hear me okay, please let me know. This is a new computer, and so hopefully a better video camera. I haven't really played around with the sound settings too much because I just grabbed it on my lunch break. So please let me know if you can't hear me, and I'll try to figure out what that's about. So, right, like I said, we're just going to give it a few moments and let some more people join, and then we'll get started because we have a lot to cover tonight. So. Negative 4, I'm just going to give it a few more moments. Let's see here. All right, we've had a couple more people join. So hello, everyone. Like I was saying before, this is a new computer for me, so please let me know if you can't hear me at all. I'll try to see if I can turn the volume up. And as you're coming in, there should be a button on the left-hand side that looks like a chat bubble that says Q&A. If you click that, there'll be a panel on the right-hand side that kind of pops out, and that way you can ask questions to me and I'll see them. We'll get into that also in a minute here. I'm just going to give it like 2 more minutes tops, and then we'll get started. Just 1 more minute, and then I'm going to get started. This is pretty typical for Hangouts. I'll schedule them for 8 o'clock, and then I'll just give enough time for everyone to kind of trickle in. Alrighty, we have a good crowd here. So let's get rolling. So hello, everyone. I'm Chuck. I'm your coach. I'd like to thank you all for choosing me as your coach. And I want to say I'm really excited to be working with all of you. So this Hangout's going to have a lot of information. Some of it's going to be things that I want to cover with you. And then some of it's just going to be questions that you all have that I'll try to answer as best as I can. You'll be able to go back and watch it as many times as you like. So please save the link. It's available in the Photocracy feed if you go to Coach's Posts, and it'll only show things that I've posted. So there are a few things that I want to go over to get us started here, and then I'll go to the questions that have been asked. So I said this before, but I'm going to say it again. The Q&A app portion is turned on, meaning there's a button on the left-hand side of your screens. It looks like a blue chat bubble that says Q&A. If you click on it, a panel will show up on the right-hand side, and you can type questions into there, and I'll be able to see them. Quick warning, there is a delay between when you submit the questions and when I see them. So please don't wait till the last minute. I've had it happen before where I say, okay, there's no questions left. I close the chat down, and then someone says, hey, I had submitted one. Didn't you see it? So that does happen. If we go over the allotted time, I'll either answer them on the next Hangout, or if you needed an answer sooner, we can answer it in the group. Just let me know, and I'll take care of that. So first I want to talk about my coaching style. I'm not a drill instructor, and I'm not here to yell at you. I'm here to help you wade through all the bullshit information that's out there and provide you with some accountability and help you create a framework or a system that allows you to work toward your goals. I say work because please recognize that it is work. And while it may be simple what you have to do, it's not easy. A lot of people throw around terms like I lack motivation, I don't have the motivation to do this, or I don't have the willpower. We'll get into that a little bit more as the class goes on, but things like motivation and willpower, they're fickle and they're a finite resource, and you cannot rely on them to get you through your journey and then stay there. I've lost my weight and kept it off for 7+ years now. I think it's almost 7.5. That's not possible to do that through willpower and determination. It is habits that make that possible, and it's habits that you implement slowly. You can't do them all at once. You have to kind of trickle them in. You'll see me throw around the term the path of least resistance. I'll use that often because you want to take the path that's not going to be painful to you. So if you can easily start with one habit change and then kind of roll a couple more in there, and without noticing it, by the time you have all these habits in place, you'll have a framework and a system where you're not just basing your entire long-term, lifelong success on these rules like don't eat carbs after 6 p.m. or don't eat carbs at breakfast, or you can't eat processed foods, or you're not allowed to drink beer, or you can't eat ice cream. Those things are not going to be possible long-term, because the more you make rules like that, the less likely you are going to follow them on a long enough timeline. So that's why it's important to have those habits in place. This class is all about habits. My coaching is all about habits. So that's basically the name of the game here, is I'm going to help you build habits that you can live with, and those will allow you to get to your goal and stay there or exceed it. So speaking of accountability, one way which I'll do that is I'll be checking on your progress in the group progress tracker once a week, and that's going to be on Saturdays at noon Eastern time, which is East Coast US. Depending on what's going on for me on the weekend, I may not actually start sending out any updates until after that time, or maybe even Sunday morning, but please have your updates in by Saturdays at noon Eastern time. From there, I'll look at what you've done, and generally with your updates, you will provide a adherence rating. So if basically when you weigh in and provide your measurements and your weight's up, but your adherence is all negatives, I mean, that's a clear sign that it's not that we need to make an adjustment as far as what you're doing. It's just that we need to work as a habit, getting you to adhere to the habit changes. So it's unlikely there are going to be any adjustments done in the first week. So I'll check all your progress, see how you're going along, and then we can talk about it as a group. But there probably won't be any adjustments the first week. It's really one of those things where you have to give it enough time to see if it's working before you go and start changing things. But other than that, we will move through the assignments on a week-to-week basis. There will generally be at least one update and assignment per week, and I'll post it and make it a sticky post. There will be probably one hangout next week that you'll be grouped in with a bunch of other groups that I have. So it'll probably be a lot more questions and less me going through things. So, all right. So let me see what else we have here to mention. Yes. So as of right now, I've gone through all the surveys that have been submitted, and I've created a program and documents for everyone that's submitted. And I've shared it to you through Google Drive. So please check your email. If you don't have those documents and you've completed a survey, please contact me right away. There are 1 or 2 people out there that haven't completed their surveys, so please make sure you do that. That's kind of hard to start the class and participate until you know what's going on. So that's vital to actually get started. So if you didn't receive your documents, again, please let me know. Also, make sure that you've sent me your before pictures and that I know your MyFitnessPal username and that it's public. If you need any help with any of those things, please reach out in the group. I and someone else in the group will chime in and kind of help you along. A few people are still missing that information and getting it to me. 1 or 2 people have everything and have sent in everything, but they still haven't let me know if it's okay to call them by their first name. I would rather be on a first name basis with everyone. It kind of creates a connection between us sooner, as far as me trusting you to do what I'm asking you to do, and you trusting me to be your coach. Kind of creates a bridge there faster, I think. If you're not comfortable with that, just please tell me so. Just don't leave me hanging. So back to the MyFitnessPal username. The primary reason I have that public is I have an application that I made, and I'll show you how to use that with your progress tracker, that pulls your data from MyFitnessPal into your progress tracker. Other coaches that utilize MyFitnessPal, you probably would have had to go in and enter something into MyFitnessPal. And then when you enter your updates for your coach, you probably had to type in manually what you already have in MyFitnessPal, because there's no easy way to get that data into a spreadsheet to look at. But I've solved that problem for me and my clients. So we'll be using that, but it does require you to have a public diary. So, all right. So the program document is like a Google Word document. It's just called a Google Doc, but it's incredibly important. It is your guidebook for the duration of the class. It is a framework blueprint for the rest of your journey, wherever that takes you. So please consider the guide as like a living document. It's not just, I made this document for you and that's it. As we go through things in the class, I'd ask you to add what you answer in the group back to your document and make notes to yourself. You can type questions in there too. Anything, basically think of it as like a journal. Anything you don't want to share with the group, you can put in there too. Any notes you have, anything like that. I'd like for you to have this grow as the class goes on. And one thing that the reason I'm saying that is every single person during the course of this class is going to mess up at least once, and including me. In my own, I track my calories. I have a coach myself. I'm going to mess up too. And a big part of that is between messing up and still seeing success and messing up and feeling like a failure is that you have to resolve to learn from those failures. And really the way to do that is think about what happened to cause you to fail, in that particular instance, and then what you're going to do about it to prevent it from happening next time. Hold on 1 second, please. All right, where was I? Yes. So since I've been doing group coaching on photocracy for over a year now, there are a few things that I consider to be essential for your long-term success. The first of those is having a community for support. That community that you're a part of is the group for the duration of this course, as well as the greater photocracy community. For my transformation, the first, I want to say 5 years, the community I was a part of was Something Awful. If you've heard of Something Awful, you don't normally think of anything fitness related, because it's really not. There's one subform that's fitness related, but that's where I got my start. And honestly, that support from the community was vital to the process, because if I had questions or concerns, or I felt like I had a terrible day or a terrible week or a terrible month, I couldn't talk to the people, like my family and friends, that didn't understand where I was coming from, because they had no idea. They were as ignorant as I was when I was started. But having a community of like-minded people along the same journey at different points is critical. So right now, your community is the group you're in, if Extreme Fat Loss 8.0, and the greater Photocracy community. So lean on the community in times of need. Get support when you need it. Share your successes too, because that helps other people to see others that are on the same journey seeing success. So that's a vital component of losing weight and keeping it off for good. Like I said, one of the reasons I think that's so important is that so many times in our lives, people are just not into fitness, or they don't understand what it's like to have weight to lose, or be overweight or obese. They just don't understand. Or they are overweight themselves and they don't care to do anything about it. So you can't exactly expect support in what you're doing from people that just do not understand. So part of participating in the community is interacting. And on Photocracy, a big part of that is tracking your workout. So as you have workouts to do, I would ask that you track them on Photocracy. And again, if you have any questions about how to do that, please ask in the group and we'll help you out. So yes, and I highly recommend that you make a point to share with the group as often as you like, and to encourage others when they have struggles. I would like the group to be a very positive place for people to go. And if you're having a bad day, there's someone else that's had a bad day, maybe something similar happened, that can offer you some insight or just an encouraging word to keep you going. All right, so next I'd like to talk about the group progress tracker document. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. So over time, I've had people say that sometimes this document can be a little bit confusing. So I'm going to share my screen and just kind of show you exactly what my intention is for the document. Before I do that, though, I'm going to show you an example that's not your specific group's document, but just a general example. I do want to mention the first tab when you go into the document is the dashboard tab. A couple of you have already put that in there, but you don't have to. So don't worry about the dashboard tab at all. You don't have to do anything in there. Once we have some more data gathered, I'll go back in and I'll make a dashboard that kind of gives me just an overview of like the group health, meaning like these people are doing have recently updated their information and this person has not, just kind of so I can like get an overview of what's going on. So the people that already added information to the dashboard, you didn't have to do that. We're not going to use it right now, so you don't need to keep doing it, but I appreciate you having the gumption to go in there and get started. So I like that. So thank you. I don't want you to have to manually enter information into your respective tab as well as the dashboard. So please, you can stop doing that. So where you do enter the information is you'll have a tab with your name on it. Due to the size of the group, we have a large group, you may have to kind of scroll through. So if you notice in Google Docs at the very bottom, there is a left and a right arrow. So you're going to have to scroll through to find your name in there. All right, let's see. Yes. All right, I'm going to share my screen here, so stand by, please. All right. So this is an example of a Google Docs sheet. As you can see in the bottom left-hand corner here is a with my name on it, which is my username. In the first cell, in yours it may be A2 instead of A1, but mine is right here. So I'm just saying my MyFitnessPal username goes right here. And this is the date column. So as you can see, this calorie information was automatically pulled in by a formula here. So you don't have to enter this information in. So this was for July 1st, and today is what, July 15th? So rather than having to type the date in, you can actually drag the contents of the cell down. So you'd want to do this so that you have the entire day essentially in there. So if you just put your mouse cursor in the right-hand corner of the cell, it'll turn into like a cross, and then you can click and drag. So let's see, 14, 15. So that's up to yesterday. So it automatically populated the dates. Now, again, if you need any help with this, please let me know. And then you can just drag the formula down, and then all the data just magically appears. So that's a good way to get your nutrition data in there. It lets me look at everything that's going on from a numbers point of view, and then you don't have to worry about manually typing that in. So you want to have a date for every single day in there. And that's essentially all you have to do. The only other thing you'll need to do is in the columns for weight and measurements, you'll just need to enter them in at least once a week. All right. Let's see. All right, so the other thing I wanted to mention is that regarding MyFitnessPal, please make sure that you've looked at your nutrition goals in your program document and then update them in MyFitnessPal. I'm actually going to screen share again just to show you that. Just give me one moment here. All right, so now we have some inception here going on. So this is MyFitnessPal. This is the home screen, and to change your nutrition goals to match what I gave you in your program document, which you want to check first, is that you can just go to the home screen, and then you'd want to go to goals. And then at the very bottom, you want to go to change your goals, and then you want to pick custom. And then here you can just change your calories to match what I gave you in the document. And unless you're a premium subscriber, you cannot change it to the gram. You have to just kind of play with percentages. So, changing this information here will update them. It's not going to be exact, but you don't exactly have to be exact. That's the only thing you need to worry about is net calories consumed, carbohydrates, protein, fat. Most people, it's going to automatically adjust your fiber goal. As long as it's above 25 grams, you should be good to go. And then you can just click change goals at the bottom there. All right, I think that covers that. And again, I am going at a decent pace just because there's a lot of information to cover. You are able to come back to the Hangout and rewatch it at any time, so please do that. But again, if you need help with any of this, please just ask. All right, I'm going to say this again. You're going by percentages. You're not going to hit them exactly, the numbers. Don't worry about it. You don't have to be exact. Just get them as close as you can, and don't worry about it. Let's see. So I'd like to have a disclaimer at this point and say, I know this is lots of information. What I'm going through here, what's in your document, I realize it's a lot of information up front. I don't want anyone to get overwhelmed. Everyone is able to work through this class and group at their own pace. One of the biggest problems that I've encountered in talking with other coaches is that when you have weekly content, sometimes people feel like they're too busy and they can't do the assignment, and that's okay. But they feel like they're falling behind. You cannot fall behind. You can work through this at your own pace. The content will be available for you after the group ends. There are other options once the group ends. You can work through it at your own pace. Please don't feel like you're getting overwhelmed and falling behind, because it's your whatever pace you need to go at to feel like you're getting where you need to be. That's the pace you need to work at. Please don't feel like you're falling behind. If this class were graded, you literally could not fail unless you just stop trying entirely. Even if you never get past the first assignment in 12 weeks, As long as you're trying your best and still trying to communicate, you'll make progress. So I just wanted to get that out there. If you're feeling overwhelmed too, please mention it. Normally what happens is that sometimes people read through the document and they're overwhelmed and they don't communicate. So again, to reiterate the point I made earlier, you communicating with me and the group is what's going to dictate your success, is communication in the community. All right. I just have a couple more points to get through before I go to the questions. These are just important things I just want to mention, and they may actually alleviate some of your questions anyways. So as you may have noticed, there's a big focus on micronutrients, and they're targeting them like protein and fiber. So let's say life happens and you have like a social event or a surprise dinner out or a birthday cake or something that you're not going to skip because it's for a family member. Sometimes you just have to do the best you can. Worst case scenario, and you're feeling like you don't know what to do and you don't have time to ask in the group, you can still try to just be at or under your calorie goals or even just slightly over, and don't worry about the rest. It's basically damage management. It's better than just throwing your hands up and saying, screw it, party time, I'm going to do whatever. You could still try to hit your calorie goals. Don't worry about protein and fiber. Just do the best you can. You're going to have days like that. You have to be prepared that they're going to happen and not feel like you're failing, because as I've said in your program documents, the plan is flexibility. You have to have something that works for your life, not something that you're on a plan and off a plan. That is what leads to cycle dieting and yo-yo dieting, and that's not what you want. And I see people have already asked questions about this. But yeah, so calories matter the most. Since we're talking about calories, please try to turn off your third-party apps from adjusting your calories from exercise on MyFitnessPal. We absolutely do not want to be eating back calories burned from exercise if our primary goal is fat loss. If fat loss is a secondary goal for you and your primary goal is something else, meaning like you'd rather run a 5K and that's more important than fat loss, let me know. Reach out to me and we'll talk about it. So I'm going to stop right there. And I see people ask the question about how do you turn off the calories in MyFitnessPal. That is actually done on a per third-party app basis. So you have to look at the app itself. I don't actually connect any third-party apps to MyFitnessPal except Withings. I have an automatic scale that posts my weight to MyFitnessPal for me. So you'd have to look at which apps you've connected. It's going to be a different setting on a per app basis. There is no one setting for MyFitnessPal that says turn off positive calorie changes. There might be if you're a premium subscriber. I'm not a premium subscriber. I like MyFitnessPal, but I'm not like gung-ho like, oh, sign up for premium, because I'm not signing up for premium. I don't think it's worth the money. So you just want to look at third-party apps and how you turn off that integration. All right, let's see. So, but still on the topic of calories, calorie counts are not the end-all goal here. They are just a means to an end. The real change that happens is what happens to your habits and your food choices around those habits. The calorie counts are just a way to get us on that path to our eventual goal. I don't calorie count 365 days a year for all 7 years. I've taken breaks where I was able to maintain my weight, and I used how my clothes fit. That I reached a certain point where I wasn't having to buy new clothes from losing weight, that I could just use how my clothes fit as a gauge for when I need to scale back my habits a little bit. But whenever I want to reach a specific goal in a certain time frame, I do use calorie counting, because I find it the most flexible way to change my body composition and still be able to eat things that I enjoy without feeling like I'm breaking some kind of rule or being naughty because I had beer last night, which I did. And it fit into my goal, so I didn't feel any guilt or remorse over enjoying myself, because that's not how you should enjoy life first. It's short enough that you shouldn't be saying, well, I can't have a beer, I'm on a diet. That's horseshit. Pardon the French. All right, where were we? Yes. So since I briefly mentioned protein, and this question was asked on Monday's Hangout, I want to reiterate it again here, since only a few people were on Monday's Hangout from this group. Many of you have been wondering why such a focus on protein. So there are 3 reasons. Number 1, protein is the most filling macronutrient. So when you're trying to lose weight, if you're full, you're not hungry. Therefore, you're more likely to stick to your goals. And that's called just adhering to your goals. 2, protein ensures that when you lose weight, that weight is fat and not muscle. This is an important factor of what we look like at a different weight because we want to lose fat and not muscle. Some people have lost weight and they didn't eat any protein and didn't have any resistance exercise. Resistance exercise meaning like weightlifting, where you increase the intensity over time through some different ways to do that. And they ended up just looking like a smaller, fatter. They're still fat, but they were just weighed less. Essentially, it's called skinny fat. So that's a possibility, and we want to avoid that. Protein is a big part of that. And 3, for the most part, there are no high protein junk foods. So eating protein as a focus forces us to make more healthful food choices, assuming you also eat vegetables to help alleviate your hunger too. You also see that I do talk about vegetables often. And in your program documents, I mentioned that you can eat fibrous vegetables as much as you want, and you don't have to worry about tracking them. So if you're wondering why, and some of you may find this to be already known to you, but that's fine. I'm just going to repeat it just in case. Vegetables are high in nutrients that include fiber, and they're low in energy or calories. So for the purposes of fat loss, even if they're not as tasty as cake or donuts, they are perfect for the utility factor of their being low calorie and they'll fill you up. So there are not many ways to lose weight while feeling full and getting enough fiber while trying to lose weight and staying within your calorie limit that don't include protein and vegetables. You can always eat more protein instead of eating vegetables as like half the equation, but past a certain point, eating more protein is going to require more fiber because it's harder to digest, which is why it's so satiating. And it's also cost prohibitive. Past a certain point, just getting more protein becomes really expensive, especially compared to vegetables. So I'll make a special note here and say that there are no required foods. There's no good foods or bad foods for fat loss. There are some more healthful choices you can make for long-term health and for feeling full, but in general, there are no good or bad choices. There's a maxim, you've maybe heard it before. It's the saying, eat food, mostly plants, not too much. That's a great simplification of the process. It doesn't include all the things that people enjoy eating because eating is a social thing and you can't really get away from that. We can have a discussion around that if you like, but that is a good saying, and it kind of is a very oversimplification of the process here. It's not a fad diet. That's basically what's optimal for human health. So with that said, being hungry while trying to lose weight is what causes people to turn to sugary comfort foods. So our cravings get turned off in the brain when our stomach actually expands to a certain point. There's a stretch reflex. When that happens, there are hormones released that travel to your brain that tell your brain, we're not hungry anymore. We're full. There's no room in the tank. There's a delay, though, in getting in. Once the stomach actually stretches, there's a delay for the hormones to travel to the brain. So you have to, mindful eating is a big part of that. You want to slowly eat your food so that those hormones have time to send the signals. So the best way to actually get that stretch reflex and fill your stomach up is with low calorie, high fiber, nutrient dense foods like vegetables and lean protein sources. So I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about. Before I get to your questions, there's one last thing I want to mention before I forget, and I've said it already, but I'm going to say it again. Please, 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 please communicate, both with me and the group. And that is the key to success here. So as a team, we can do this together. But if you don't communicate and reach out for help when you need it, you're going to miss out on what I have found is a critical piece of losing weight successfully without fad dieting and keeping it off, is that sense of community and being able to go somewhere to get help from a trusted source, meaning anyone can Google an answer to your question about fat loss, but coming from people that are going through the same thing as you, and from me, we can kind of help you wade through all that crap and provide you the support you need. And also, please provide me with any feedback that you have on the Hangout. So on to the questions. Let me check here. All right, real quick. This one is Druid Knights is asking, how do I track my adherence if I'm severely under my numbers? I don't see an option for that one. That's a good question. I would probably just track it as, well, I guess it's going to depend on how much severely is. Let's just say if your goal was 1,500 and you're hitting 900, I'd track that as a 0. But if you're hitting like 1,200, 1,300, I'd say that's a 2.5. So I mean, really, what we're looking for is you're never going to hit the numbers exactly ever. You should probably celebrate and take a picture if you ever do that. My recent streak on MyFitnessPal, I think, is 561 days tracked in a row, and I'm doing that more of as an experiment than the need to do it. And I think I've maybe hit my numbers once exactly on the dot for macro targets in 560 days. So, like I said, if you're saying severely under, in the area of like 300 to 400 under, I would rate that a 0. The negative numbers I would probably reserve solely for when you're going over the calorie ranges, because the goal for the class is fat loss, and when you're over on calories, you're not going to have fat loss. So that's when I would use the negative numbers. All right, I see a bunch of you were having some issues with the Hangout, but it's working now, so I'm going to mark those as answered. Druid Knights also has another question that was asked in the group, so thank you for your questions. Druid Knight says, and related to the calorie goals, I'm having a heck of a time making my calorie goal for the day. If I could make my goal if I went back to the way I was eating before, but those are a lot of empty calories, and I don't want to do that. So I'm trying to eat less processed foods, and now I'm pretty much satisfied throughout the day. My question is, are the numbers you gave us, should we be hitting them daily or getting close and staying under? That's a great question. Again, you don't have to hit them exactly. So if the calorie range, you could think of it as like an upper limit. So being under is totally fine. The protein one is one that you should try to be close to, and it's okay to exceed. Same with the fiber. Other than that, you don't need to worry too much. If I didn't look at your progress tracker already, Druid Knights, I would say it depends. But I looked at your progress tracker, and it looks like for the days that I looked at, you're doing fine. In your particular case, the only thing I'd say was try to get it. I think your calorie goal is 120, 115. I didn't make a note of that, sorry. But I would try to get at least 100 grams of protein, though. To answer this outside of just Druid Knights, for everyone else, I would say as long as you're within 400, 500 calories of reaching the goal, that's fine for the first two weeks or so, I'd say. It's possible that I've set your goal a little bit high to begin with so that you weren't going from a huge calorie number in what you were eating and not aware of from not tracking to something really low. I didn't want to do that as like a goal, because that could be defeating for many people. So in general, I kind of set the targets a little bit high. That's kind of a fine line for me to walk too, because most people want to see progress in the first week. So I would say that it's possible that you don't need to worry about it. For right now, the only thing you need to worry about is keep an eye on your mood and energy levels. So if they start crashing right away, but you're feeling full, we'll have to decide what to do then, because it's possible that if you feel like crap from eating so far below what you're used to eating, then we'll need to slowly work on increasing the calories with more healthful choices over time. I wouldn't want you to force feed yourself past the point of being full. There's no point in that. It's not healthy either. I also want to note that for many people, it's entirely common to feel this way for the first 1 to 2 weeks, and that feeling drops off over time. You may find that you're automatically getting closer to your goals. I believe in myself too that once you lower your sugar intake, that you feel a lot more full on lower calories, and you kind of hit this euphoria where you feel like you don't need as much energy, and it's almost like you drank too much caffeine. But that's solely coming from the fact that your body is like switching into a fat burning mode, and that does not last forever. So what may happen is you may end up, after the 1 to 2 or 3 weeks, whatever, that that feeling goes away, and you're automatically now eating more as a result and getting closer to your calorie limit, which is, again, fine. So this is something that basically just keep an eye on how you feel, and we'll kind of go from there. And in general, don't stress over your carb and fat levels. The order of importance for fat loss is calories, then protein, and then fiber. And part of the fiber is getting your vegetables in to feel full. And that's it. Carbs and fat at this stage, I don't think anyone in here is like an actual competitive athlete or anything like that. Carb and fat amounts are just based on your preference of what you like to eat. Some people like fattier foods. Some people like higher carb foods. Me personally, I like all of them. So yesterday for me, I had wings. So it was a lower carb day because I don't normally like French fries with them. But then sometimes I'll go out to dinner and just eat pancakes for dinner. So I like it all. So it's really just based on what you want to do. There's no need to worry, get mired down in the details. All right. We have a question from Ed. Ed is asking, is going over my daily protein goal by 20 or so good or bad? There's no problem with it. Your body doesn't do anything negative with extra protein. It may make you feel full. There are plenty of people that eat lots and lots of protein. There are many days where I have like over 250 grams. Nothing's really going to happen. It just takes a little bit longer to digest. And especially 20 is not a huge amount to go over by anyways. So I wouldn't worry about it. I'd say it's a good thing. Unless you're starting to go over it by a lot. And then, like I said, the only problem with the higher protein intake is that it can become cost prohibitive over time. So just kind of keep an eye on that. If you don't care about that, then there's no harm in then more. Some days where I'm just ravenously hungry and I know that if I kind of cave in, I'm just going to eat all the things. Sometimes I'll just eat a really high protein day just to feel full and go about my day. So yeah, I would say 20 grams over, you're good to go. All right. I don't see any questions pending. I'm going to flip over to Photocracy and check on the feed and see if anyone asked any more. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask for the Hangout right now, please ask them, and I'll wait a minute to see if any pop in. Like I said, you can watch the Hangout again at any time afterwards. It'll be immediately available through the same link, and it'll be on my YouTube channel. There will be a Hangout next week, probably the same day of the week and time. Sometimes they're on Mondays. It just kind of depends on my schedule. But I try to do one every week. So let me just flip over to Photocracy, and I'll check if there's any more questions being asked. All right, I see a bunch of you had sent messages saying that you couldn't see the live Hangout. I'm guessing that that's taken care of now, since the same people saying that were then asking questions. You know what? After the Hangout, drop me a message on the Photocracy feed and tell me what exactly was going on. Was it just a technical problem with the Hangout itself, or was there something you needed to do to get into the Hangout so we can let other people know for the future? Just please let me know. All right, I don't see any more questions being asked, so if there's nothing else, I'm just going to get going. And let's check one more time. Alrighty, no more questions have popped in, so we're going to call that a night. We're a little bit over on time, but that's okay. Everyone have a great night. And again, I'm really happy to be working with you all, and I'm very excited, and I hope you are too. And I'm going to say it one more time, and please don't be mad at me, but please communicate with me in the group, and we'll get you where you want to be. So everyone have a great night, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.